What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
So, Rick, you have a little bit of I'm going to call it a forced vacation right now.
And it's horrific.
Oh, boy.
It's not okay. It's not horrific as far as the time off. I just don't. Even with a vacation, about the third day into a vacation, I go ballistic. I'm like, okay, I got to work. I don't know what it is. And there is going to come a time in my life where I really, truly get to enjoy life. I do. I love every minute of my life. But I truly enjoy working with what I do because I do what I love.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, just to catch people up, you had a pretty serious surgery recently, and the doctors are the ones saying, "Sir, you're not going on stage for another couple of weeks." So I was a little bit teasing with the word vacation because you can't exactly go out and do whatever you want right now because you really have to chill and relax and rest. So vacation is a little bit of a misnomer, but you and I are very similar in that if we take time away from what we do, because I love what I do, being a newscaster, I do, we feel like we haven't accomplished anything. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will tell you, I'm going to allow me to appreciate this moment to share with those out there how important this is. I'm seeing it more and more. You know how when you want to go out and buy a car, all of a sudden you see all the car commercials and you see advertise all the things that just go by. And so when you're looking for something, all of a sudden you see that particular everywhere. And I had surgery for prostate, and I have been told that I've been cleared. So I am extremely happy. However, it also caused me to, everywhere I open up news articles, whatever it may be, it's prostate this and prostate. And I'm like, whoa. So even today, though it is over, and I remember telling the doctor I'd be up and running in 2 weeks. And he looked at me and cocked his head sideways and said, "No, try 6 weeks." He was right.
Yes, he was.
So I'm a bit frustrated not being able to do the show, but it was just 5 things to look for. For men, it is not usually noticeable. It is a very long challenge in the cancer realm, and there are 15 years of it that they consider a growth. But it can happen quickly, and it can just come up on you quickly. And I have more people, and I will tell you this, more men out there that I'm actually thrilled that I've shared this with. One gentleman called me yesterday and he said, "Rick, I just had my PSA done.
Hooray.
I had my test done." I said, "Bravo to you." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "You."
Yes.
I said,
Yes. Guess what? Randy, my husband Randy, the great procrastinator of all things health, is scheduled for his next week.
Okay. Bravo.
Yep. Why? Because of you.
Oh, that's, you know what? And I'm going to tell everybody out there for men, because we don't like the doctor.
No,
just so
does?
you know.
We don't either.
Well, I know, but some people love to go to the doctor. Some people go to the doctor for the common cold.
Oh, please.
Yeah. It's simply a blood test, and they will look at your numbers and tell you where it's going. And also, as we age as men, it automatically enlarges. So that is why we change with the way that our bodily functions work, just simply because it enlarges and pushes on places that it shouldn't. So that is common, and those are considerations to talk to your doctor as well.
And it's worth taking that little pinprick of a test. Yeah. It's worth it. You know, I keep on relating that survey that we had on the news recently, that people's number one fear is not finding cancer, but finding it too late.
Yep, finding it too late.
Yep.
And one of the gentlemen yesterday who called me said that his son's father, they found it on him and it was at stage 4. And so, and I'm saying, you see,
Yep.
and they said he went in for something else and
Yes.
it was found and it's just hidden. So if you think that you're going to expect to feel something from it, for the most part, men don't.
Yeah.
I would say that's for most of us. And I'm not just saying men and women are so far different from each other, but you need to take that opportunity. Now, as far as recovery.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, see, you are so used to your brain being 100% in charge of everything. And as we were talking earlier this morning, before we started to do the podcast, right now, your brain is in the back seat. Your body is telling you what to do. And your brain's not going to override it no matter how much you kick and scream and fuss. Your body is going to shut you down and say, no, sir, you're going to sit here for an hour. And you have to give into it because.
That's all right. That's right. That's why I'm on the radio. That's why I'm doing the podcast. That's why I can still do my radio on my 100.1. And for the next 4 weeks, in fact, they're saying, are you going to be on the radio? I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can sit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as the show goes,
no.
I do want to let you know that I do appreciate those people out there supporting me and looking forward to when the show gets back up and running. I'll do a plug for Home Depot at the moment. I was at Home Depot yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, just walking around and just, trying to just get out there. And I don't know, we had to pick up a couple things.
It's a good place to go walking through. You find all kinds of cool stuff.
Another fine gentleman walked up to me and said, Rick Thomas, when's your show starting again? So people are listening. It's good. I've been on the radio. I've had the chance to share that, and people come up and say, I'll start about 4 weeks from now. Yep. And they said, oh, we can't wait to see you come back in and start your show up again. So,
and I guarantee you are going to come in with a vengeance. You are going to rock that stage.
Yes, I will. Yes.
Like you've never maybe rocked it before, just because you're going to be so glad to be back. But the most important thing right now, and I learned this after my cancer surgery, is if you push too hard, you end up going backwards, and we don't want to do that.
Agreed.
So
So I actually this week had somebody else mow my lawn. It's so bizarre. I've been mowing my lawn now for quite a few years, and to see the lawn cut and edged, and I didn't do it again. I'm like, whew.
How well on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Rick's best? How good?
I'm not going to, no. If they listen to the podcast, I'm not saying.
So you're perfectly satisfied and thrilled?
No, because I didn't do it.
I'm trying to give you an out here, Rick.
Only because you look at it, it is cut. It is cut as it needs to be. But when I cut the lawn myself, I know every edge I cut. I know every line I made. Nobody else does. But there are personal gratitude to myself for my accomplishment. And I didn't get that this time around.
Okay. Well, let's say the lawn's on vacation now, too.
Yeah, the lawn looks great.
Okay.
The lawn looks great, and it's cooling off, and the weather is changing, and okay.
All right. Well, we are up to chapter 52 in your book, The Tiger Whisker, and again, another amazing title. The human race is amazing. And I didn't mean to say amazing twice, but it worked there. And
it is amazing.
Well, I agree with you. It's amazing. Sometimes, though, it's very confusing and sometimes very disconcerting. But you bring up such a great point to start things off, Rick, and I hadn't really made this connection until I read the chapter. If we ever were satisfied, we'd stop creating. And then where would we be?
It would not be good.
It wouldn't. New inventions wouldn't
We would
happen.
fall apart.
Yeah.
We would fall apart.
I never thought of that.
This not being morbid, but it saddens me. It's kind of like a retirement. So many people, when they retire, mentally remove themselves from the world. Some of them, many of them, their life expectancy shortens.
Right.
Because they have no, I don't know if you want to say worth and or no directive or something to keep their mind going.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. So as far as retirement goes, you have to be sometimes a little careful about retiring from the world. You can retire, but don't retire from the world.
No, this is where you get that list of all the things you've ever wanted to do and you didn't have time, your hobbies, if you can afford your travel. You know, you get out there and you do all those things you've been wanting to do, but because of work, family, other obligations, you haven't been able to. I mean, now it's your party time. Go for it. Don't just sit home. But no, you're right. And that makes me so sad when you hear somebody who's worked all their lives and they finally retire and everybody throws them a party and then they go home and
they disappear.
Yeah.
They disappear.
Because they earned their fun time and for some reason didn't take advantage of it.
Well, as said in the first paragraph in this, we enjoy our lives today actually because of the dreams that people came before us, those that are retired, those that have gone on before us. I'm always still fascinated that you are today the accumulation of not hundreds or thousands or many thousands of people that came before you. They have made you who you are today. So you as an individual, I'd say if you feel a little bit negative about yourself and you're unhappy today, I just want you to think about how important everybody is. We all have a life. We all have a story to tell. And that's why genealogy to some people right now, it's a big thing because you start looking back on your past and realize, wow, there are a lot of people who went through a lot to get you here.
Have you ever done that? Have you gone back into your family?
Oh, yes.
You have?
Yep.
Oh.
Generations, 16 generations, 17 generations. My family's really big into genealogy. We come through England, Welsh, German.
Okay.
And you're German as well.
Yes, I am. One of these days I will do that. And because there's a lot of relatives, most of my relatives are in Germany, and I've lost contact with them. And now that's one of my, when I have time, things is to start tracking down my relatives over there and get a better handle on, what my family has accomplished over there and who they are and what they're into, because I only know a handful of them. That's one of those things I'm looking forward to having some time to do.
Oh, wonderful. And please take that opportunity. That is the spice of life, realizing how important you are in this family, the human race. Remember, the human race is amazing. People before us had dreams of freedom, dreams of invention, and dreams that are now reality. And for that reason, we enjoy our lives today far more than our generation before us. And we need to follow our dreams, not only for ourselves, but for the rest of our future. So we are in this together. And, you can be selfish about it and say, I'm following my dreams for me, but everybody affects everybody else around them in some way or form. Everything that you do in some way affects someone.
Well, it's dominoes. It's kind of like a domino effect.
Yeah.
You do something and you may never know how you affected somebody. You may never have a clue, but the point is that you did.
Yep.
That you did. And you have that with your show. People get a lot of great messages from your show. It's more than just a fantastic illusion show. There's a lot of heart in it. And some of them come and talk to you after the show and tell you, but there's a huge number that don't. So you never have a clue what you have put into motion, which is, I think, very cool.
Thank you. And I'm going to stand on my soapbox right now to all people who are looking to have me present or perform my production worldwide. I had a producer from a theater the other day say to me, well, I have another magician coming in this year. We're going to see how he does before we consider doing anything further next season. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is if you think that my life is just everything I touch works and every theater I go to, it happens. Okay. Yeah, everybody's going to get no's in their life. And I, again, put my head down on the table and banged my head on the table. And I said again to myself, listen to me carefully. My show is not a magic show. You just brought in a guy who's going to do a whole bunch of tricks, and that's all he's going to do.
Disappear
and
this,
I'm not trying to say
that.
that his show is more shallow than mine, but I have spent my entire existence going beyond my magic and presenting a show that goes far beyond the magic and far beyond your imagination. And it is about following your dreams. And there is a deep story behind it. People will laugh their heads off in my show. They will cry in my show.
Been there.
I try to say, I am not. Sometimes I wonder, why did I choose being a magician? I am not a magician.
I get that.
I am an entertainer. And my show, if you put it in your theater, will be the finest theatrical, magical production you will have ever on your stage. they don't get it.
No, and people don't. And I think everybody who listens has been in that position of being compared to something that they're not comparable with. And it's frustrating. And, one of my ways around it has always been, okay, so you don't want me, I'll go to your competition and then we'll see what you have to say, sir.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. That's always been my way because I've gotten so many no's in my career, primarily based on my gender. Oh, yeah. And it's always, I used to get upset. I used to cry. I used to think, maybe I'm in the wrong profession. Maybe I should do something else. Until one day I just got mad. And I said, well, if you won't let me do it, then I'll just find a way to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did that unleash all kinds of fury. And it worked. People make assumptions about us. And this person is not, what word do I want? Sophisticated enough. I'll say it that way.
Wait a minute. This chapter is about how amazing the human race is.
Well, they're amazing. They're amazing, good, amazing, bad. He's not sophisticated enough to understand magic isn't magic, isn't magic, isn't magic.
Isn't magic, isn't magic. Anybody can do a trick. Very few people perform magic.
There you go.
I repeat it.
There you go.
It is fascinating. Sometimes you stare at people and everybody has their own little bubble. Everybody lives their own life and we are self-absorbing. It is about me, right? It's about that person. People's lives are constantly being improved today because of others who continue to follow their dreams. You can't quit. You just got to keep going. And when you praise somebody for following their dreams, you're doing it right. I know it's so difficult because sometimes you'll see others progressing beyond you or succeeding far beyond. Okay. Let me just stop you right here, Tammy. I got to talk to you about our podcast.
Right.
This last week on my 100.1, where I am a new DJ in Branson, I talked about the famed Travis and Jason Kelsey brothers and their podcast, New Heights. Okay. They just signed with Amazon's Wondery Network.
Knew that.
And I know this last year, they were this year's iHeart Podcast Award winners for their podcast.
They were.
I personally think it's more so who they are than the podcast itself. It's just a couple of jocks, sitting there chatting about their sports. But the deal is worth $100 million over 3 years. The quote was, "We couldn't be more excited to team up with Wondery for the next phase of New Heights." No kidding, right?
Yeah.
Duh.
Imagine that.
This is exactly how I said it on the air. And then I said, look, just so you people are aware, Tammy Trujillo and I won the Muse Awards for podcast in 2023. Not the bronze, not the silver or the gold, but the platinum. And it honors exceptional design and media contributions that set a new benchmark in the industry. Disney has won, Netflix, Warner Brothers, IBM, Apple, Google. Am I bitter? No. Kelsey's get $100 million and I got a trophy.
I've got to make it even worse. The Kelsey brothers come in and record and walk out. And then this giant team of people swoop in and do the editing and the sound design and the cover art and the show notes and get it up.
Oh, okay. So Tammy, what are we doing here?
A lot of work. A lot of work. But when I do my podcasting class with students, they bring in stories like the Kelsey brothers. They bring in Joe Rogan. And I say, okay, guys, you can't even begin to compare you and them because they have this machine behind them, this massive machine that does all the work that one or two humans simply could not do. They couldn't do it. So I say, take those people and put them in this box over here, shut the box, put them in the closet, close the door. And now let's look at the other 98% of podcasters because that's who we're competing with or sharing the pod universe with.
Right. And just so you know, even in the industry itself, I talk about the movie industry. Like 90% of those in the movie industry probably make less than $2,000 a year in the business. Okay. There are the top 1 or 2% that are making over the 100,000 a year. And then the few who are making bazillions. And I said, step back just for a moment. Think about the movie industry. I can tell you right now, there's like 100 top movie stars in the world who are like in everything.
Yeah, about.
Okay? Okay? They're in everything. Now, you have to break into it, and sure enough, someone will break through the wall and they'll become the next movie stars. But for the hundreds and thousands that are out there, you've got to continue with those dreams. Do understand that you have to look at the numbers and go, wow. Yeah. There's only a few who are always going to be in every movie. You know?
Perspective. It's all about perspective. You have to put things in perspective. Otherwise, I think if you don't, you end up slamming into a wall because you're looking at that finite percentage saying, how do I get there? Well, maybe there isn't where you're headed. You've got to find something you can achieve. It can just be as remarkable, really, in perspective.
So there you have it. And now I thought I'd cry on your shoulder and say, Tammy, have the answer. Rick, well, this is how we do it.
I wish I had answers. I seek answers all the time.
You know what we're doing? I can tell you now, I'm extremely proud of this podcast.
Me too.
I'm extremely proud of the information that we provide and the stories that are shared. I am also pleased that the station, KOMC-FM, actually put me on their websites as well. They were shocked, Tammy.
Shocked?
They were just like, whoa, now this is a podcast, right?
Oh, gee, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank them for me.
So I will, of course, absolutely. And they also have said that it's really good to be working with me on the radio because all I needed to hear was this. One of the studio jocks said to the other, he says, Rick really does his homework. And I'm telling you right now, that's what it is. The behind the scenes, giving it everything you've got, even though you're not getting out of it what you think you should.
I get
do
that.
So. In fact, I'm going to jump ahead in this chapter. We're going to get to it back in just a minute. There's so many things to cover. But there is a section in this chapter where I talk about how people believe that everything they put into something, they should get exactly the same out of it.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Okay. I see it in the world of magic. I see magicians spend money. Let's say they spend $5,000 on creating an illusion.
Okay.
Well, they're going to try to get in their head $5,000 out of that illusion, which means they may perform it for a minute or 2 minutes. But let's just say that $5,000 effect is worth about 3 seconds. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
It's all about the effect, right? In the world of magic. And I see that people think that the more I spend on it, the more time I put into it, the more I should get out of it. So what do? They drag us through the mud with it. And something that would have been spectacular for 3 or 4 seconds is now, oh, don't make me watch this, right? So I'm trying to say, you can't always expect this world to give back to you everything that you put into it. If they did, then Rick Thomas should be receiving $100 million contract.
Hey, me too.
Okay. So I'm trying to put it in perspective and jump ahead a little bit. So you kind of have to just realize that you put everything into it, and whatever is gotten out of it, just enjoy the ride, count your blessings, whatever it may be. And maybe something else to think about is Olympians.
Oh,
okay,
my
this
goodness.
is another example.
Yes.
We just finished the Olympics.
Yes.
You have people who have spent 20 years of their life.
Oh, yes.
25 years of their life. For what? For 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Or a minute to be in the Olympics? Or 2 minutes? Or whatever their particular talent is?
Yeah, you're right with it being sometimes a minute or two right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And their whole life they've spent for that moment. So in reality, if for the amount of time they've put into it, they should honestly, often in the Olympics when people don't get the gold,
right?
Gold sometimes causes people to write deals with people that are going to make them a lot of money.
Endorsements, testimonials,
all that type of thing. Right.
Guest appearances, you bet.
So they put everything into it, and they're in the Olympics, and they can say, what an amazing moment because you were there in the Olympics and you're part of it. But that's it.
Yeah.
My friend.
It's done and over. You know, I had a friend who was in the 1984 Olympics here in Los Angeles, and he was a long jumper, and he was an amazing guy. Unfortunately, there was a guy named Carl Lewis in the same Olympics. And Carl Lewis is iconic in terms of the long jump, but my friend had actually beaten him once or twice. And the day that he did his event, his one event, was not his day.
Mm-hmm.
It was not his day. It was a bad day. And he did not perform. He did not medal. And that was his Olympic dream. That's over. That's over. But for one thing that's cool, you're an Olympian for the rest of forever, whether you won a gold, bronze, silver, or whatever. You are an Olympian, so you are in that hierarchy. But that was it. That part of his life was over. He'd worked his entire youth for that. He's gone on to have a wonderful life.
Right.
But, on that one day, in that one span of a minute or two, you could have gone that way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it went that way. Yeah.
I am always listening to the news, and I'm not always good with remembering the names. And sometimes I wish it was in front of me. And at least I remembered the Kelsey brothers.
Yes, you
How
did.
can you forget?
Well, you are such a Taylor Swift fan,
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
100. Actually, she's growing on me.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And so I'm actually pleading that she show up at our studio if she's ever in the area and surprise me and come into the studio. So I slap her around a little bit. I just tease her. So it's funny to do it on the air and say, oh man, I'm forced to do this.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Huh?
You're a convert. I'm sorry. I'm still not on her train.
She was so young, and it was like, the word in our language would be teeny boppers.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Huh? I remember
teeny
them.
boppers. That's kind of what I kind of feel her music's all about. It's the 12-year-old girls screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough of, I'm going to get slammed for this. I'm never going to get a contract now that I've slammed such important people in my life.
No, not true. Not true.
But I want to share a shout out also, trying to give you examples of what it is that we put into it and expect so much out of it. I had an effect in my show. Some of my effects take 2 or 3 years to create, but one of my effects was, and today still is, the watch trick.
I love that one. Let me just say.
I've gotten everything out of it that I could have ever asked for. That I agree. Mm-hmm. But it was a 1-year process driving back and forth from my show in Las Vegas. I have, of course, tigers in the show. Mm-hmm. So I had a trailer of 6 tigers behind me every night driving home. Uh-huh. And by my side was a fine, mentally acute individual, Ricky Brandon. Mm-hmm. He was exceptional. And I'm sure today even still is a very dear friend out there who really good at just thinking up funny things to say. We would back and forth bounce all these lines back and forth between each other for an entire year, driving back and forth, trying to figure out this routine. I wanted to have the audience involved. I wanted to have a husband and wife involved. It had to be something from the audience, not something that I've created. And it finally came together. But this was a lot of work between 2 people, just constantly, nonstop critiquing it and trying to figure out what we were going to do to make it happen. So when I say to other magicians and they ask me, Rick, how did you get where you're at? Sometimes I say, and repeated, you don't want to know.
You're not, because you're not fooling. And I want people to realize this. You're not fooling about the time it takes to master an illusion and the money it takes to create the apparatus or whatever you're going to use in the illusion. You're not kidding here.
Look at every industry in the world. Our refrigerator went out and we bought a new refrigerator. And I was so thrilled because I kind of upgraded it to a nice one.
Okay.
It's not one of those deep freeze, amazing multi-million-dollar freezers, but I have a very nice refrigerator.
Okay.
And I think to myself, somebody had to come up with this. Somebody had to put it together, create it, figure it out. And there are some amazing people out there. The cars you drive, the air conditioning we enjoy, the ice cubes. Right now, my son, Preston, he is so thrilled. Our refrigerator makes round ice cubes.
Oh, my goodness.
The round ones that you put in drinks.
I love it.
And that is his get. Now, the refrigerator only makes 3 of those a day.
Oh.
I don't know the process of what it is, but it's fascinating because these are perfectly round ice. You can't call them cubes, whatever it is.
Ice
balls. But somebody had to create it. Somebody invented it. And my son Preston is thrilled. So he gives a shout out to whoever created that. And that's part of our new refrigerator.
Ice balls. I love it.
Yeah, but we enjoy so many things in our lives because somebody didn't listen to the word no.
Yeah, they didn't give up. They said, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. One way or the other, I will come up with this.
So I threw out massive to Ricky Brandon for creating this effect, and I being by his side as we created this together.
It's a good one too. Don't ever take it out.
I know. I've had so many people come to the show and go, I can't believe I got to see that again. So there are a couple things that are worthy of holding on to. I feel that's the one thing that makes me like a rock and roll band who had their heyday, and now today all they sing are their hits from the past.
Yeah, but you're always
making new albums.
Stuff. You're always adding new stuff. You're working on new stuff right now.
I am.
You're never going to stop, and that is a good thing. Sometimes it makes you very tired, but it's a very good thing. It's just like when we talked about retiring. Even if you didn't retire, let's say you just kept the show the way it is right now, this very second, for the rest of your performance forever. Mm-hmm. Okay. What would that do to you? 9-to-5
job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And don't make it negative by saying 9-to-5 job.
No.
I say it because in my head, when you say 9-to-5 job, it means clock in, do your work, clock out. Clock in, do your work, clock out.
It becomes robotic.
Yeah. And it just means that there is no creative value to what you're doing.
No matter what job you have, when something new comes along, new program, new piece of equipment, new procedure, it revs it up a little bit. It gets you back involved. It gets you excited. It's important to keep on creating, no matter what it is, even if you feel like you're not creative.
Don't always expect
right
everything to get out of it what you put in. That's probably one of the biggest flaws of depression. Is we work so hard for something, and then the rest of the world doesn't show that they care. That could be anything that you do. I worked so hard at this. I put so much time into it. Nobody noticed me. No one noticed how hard I worked.
We've all been there.
It's nonstop. So do understand that these thoughts that you're thinking about that we're sharing today literally are bouncing around in everyone's head.
Absolutely.
Nobody thinks they're getting the respect they should.
No, well, there's not 100% return on anything. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah, there is. ATM. Oh no! Actually, they do charge you.
Yes, they do
charge you. So it's not 100%.
No, not even. No,
like you want $100, you get $100, and they charge you $3 to take it out.
Yeah, but you had to put the 100 in first to get your 100 out. So it's your own money.
So that's bad analogy, but I tried.
It was pretty good.
I say that because I've been in Las Vegas for so long, and people said, I lose so much money.
Oh my gosh!
Not if you play the ATM.
Oh, that's true. God, I never played that one. I kept playing blackjack and wondering what was wrong. I just was at the wrong table. Huh? Interesting. But even if nobody notices that you did a good job or that you created something new, you notice.
Well, it's like my lawn. I told you.
Yes, exactly.
Somebody did my lawn this week because I was told I can't do my lawn.
And you still can't.
And I'm grateful, so grateful they did my lawn. And it looks great.
Okay, good.
But when I do the lawn, I know everything I did. And I am personally proud of certain edges and certain lines, whatever it may be. That is personal satisfaction. And that, first and foremost, I think needs to be the number one priority. Is it simple? Is it hard? No, we want kudos. We want people to pat us on the back and tell us how wonderful we are. But we all do.
It doesn't happen all the time, though.
We all do.
I wish.
And there are a few people out there. I have a few people in my life who I can tell you who are really good at making you feel positive about your life. They're kind. They're always applauding you. They're always telling you, good job. So, and it's not an easy thing to do. I think that for me personally, one of my favorite lines now from my mother is, it's so nice to have you on the radio now, Rick, because you now start to talk about people other than yourself.
Oh. Goodness.
So she's like, wow, you've become so unselfish.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think performers, there has to be, and I'm talking about myself too, even doing, radio news, there has to be a bit of an ego because you're sticking yourself out there in the spotlight every single time you go to work. And, it's like, okay, take pot shots at me because I'm right there in the bullseye. So I think sometimes in jobs like ours, where we are out there in the quote unquote spotlight, you do have to have a bit of an ego in order to survive it. Because you're not hiding in the group, so to speak, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, because I used to get so hurt. I used to get so hurt if somebody didn't think I did a good job, or I get dressed down for a bad performance on the air or something. And it was just so hard to pick myself up until I guess my ego kind of woke up and said, okay, all right, so they got you today. They won't get you tomorrow. You're awesome. Go do it tomorrow, you know? But I think one thing we need to learn how to do more is to compliment people on what they do. I had a program director once, and I'll say his name because everybody who's ever worked with Greg Tantum loves him. Every day, Greg would walk out through the newsroom at KFWB, and he would say, hey, everybody, you were just absolutely awesome today. Can't take any more fun. I've got to go. My fun meter's been pegged, or something like that. And we all knew it was kind of an act. You know, when he said, all of you did great. Did everybody do great? Maybe not. But there was just something about his procession through the newsroom to the parking lot from his office every day with all that kind of made you smile, kind of made you feel appreciated. It made the difference. And when you talk to other people, oh, yeah, I remember Greg used to say he had a fun meter and it got picked. He's known for that. It was simple, didn't take any effort, didn't even take him time. He just said it as he walked.
Goodness.
But it clicked in people's head, even if it was the same darn thing over and over every day and you knew he wasn't even talking to you.
I have something that was fascinating that worked for me in that respect. Many people comment about how every show feels so fresh. I make it feel like it's the first show I've ever presented, though it's scripted, though there are things that I say that have to be very well rehearsed. And right before my surgery a couple weeks ago, it was one of those moments where you start thinking about your life before you go have surgery again,
yes, you
right?
do. Yes, you do.
You start contemplating before and after and waking up and hoping everything is in order. And I stood there on the stage and I walked out to the audience and I go into my opening segment. This is the Mansion of Dreams. This is where my dreams become a reality. And for one night, just even one night, I want you to think about your dreams and realize how important you are in this world around us. And then I go on to my next segment and I stopped. I stopped and I went, wait, I wouldn't say out of character, but I let my body and my heart take me in a different direction. I said, you know what? I've got to stop right here. And I have to tell all of you that there is no way that Rick Thomas could be who he is tonight without the amazing people around him. This is on the front side of the show. I have dancers who are the best in the business. I have a crew that nail it every single night. I have a man on lights and sound, and I started naming all of them, on lights and sound, who without them, there just would be no show.
Wow.
And I said, and I take the applause and I do this and that. And I just, at that moment, I didn't even try to make it professional. I just said, I have to tell you without doubt who these people are, and that you as an audience need to tonight notice them.
Oh, I love that.
Watch them, notice them. And I can tell you that the show was loved by that audience. I could feel it. I could feel it because I had given praise to those that deserve it rather than I take the spotlight and go, oh, look at me and look how amazing I am. And
I love that.
It worked. And it worked, of course, with my cast and crew, but the audience was more warm to me.
Well, you connected in a way they understood because they're not stars. They all work in support of other things. They understand that not being noticed, even though if they quit working, they might be noticed.
Right.
You connected with them in a way that they really understand. And they appreciated you recognizing those other people. We need to do a lot more of that.
So that is, gosh, I hope people are getting something out of it this week because I am.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for people who are really out there giving it all they got in spite of expecting something massive in return, like $100 million contract.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, I'm telling you, say, am I bitter? No.
It's the roll of the dice in so many ways. I mean, would they be there had somebody not started dating somebody who will go unnamed at this point? Maybe not. Maybe
I know.
Not.
One of my things I've said too is always have preparation meeting opportunity.
There you go.
That's success.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
be
key.
prepared. So you and I we're jack of all trades. I've got my magic going. I'm on the air. We're doing a spectacular podcast, hoping that people truly are embracing this as I know we have. And I think Tammy's getting something out of this.
Are you kidding? I love it. Like I've told you, when I first read the book, before we even thought about doing a podcast, I'm on a plane and I'm reading the book and I'm in tears, and people look at me like, what the heck? Because it moved me in so many ways. Even though I know you, it moved me still. It was like, oh my God, because there were revelations in it that honestly, really very simple things I just never really thought about. And I think that was one of the reasons we're putting the podcast together, was because this is stuff everybody can understand and use, and hopefully use to the betterment of themselves and everybody else. So I think it's working. Thank you.
And you are always one who always plugs things well. And I'm attempting to be better than that better as I go on the air. So people already found the podcast. If you're listening to on Apple or Google or on the web itself on nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com, whatever or however you found it, I do know and can tell you, if you go to nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com, we do have a link to the actual book itself, the book that you can go online and buy the version to read it on your notepad or your iPad, whatever it may be, your phone. I believe truly it's worth having. I put my entire life into this.
Or if for nothing else, than the incredible pictures.
In this one, this particular chapter, there's a picture of me working on my illusion called Eridage. And Eridage took a year or more to create. In fact, once we created it, it took 6 months of rehearsals before it ever went in the show.
Wow.
I practiced with my cast and crew for ages pulling this off. And really working on this one effect. And the picture is Lex Pearson and I talking about Eridage, and we're in front of it. And in another illusion called Osmosis, my little son Preston is sleeping in the base of this secondary illusion while we're working on this effect. And I don't know, just that alone, you can see a compressor. You can see I and Lex talking in the background, and we're seriously talking because we're trying to figure out a problem. And there's Preston just chilling.
I wondered because I've got that up right now. I wondered what he was in. So that's the back end of an illusion.
It's an illusion called Osmosis, and that illusion is where I talk about how we allow our lives and our past to ruin our future by not letting it go. And Tara represents our past, the spirit of darkness and light and everything that's mixed with it. She proceeds to crawl into my body and disappear into my body. Sounds bizarre. It's called Osmosis. So it's a beautiful concept of showing how it could be a relationship. It could be a loss of a job, whatever it may be. And you let that embed itself in you and it ruins you mentally as you continue to try to press forward because you can't let go of the past. And then I turn around and then she reappears by me letting go of her and letting go of my past. And that illusion right there is Osmosis. That's a perfect example also, again, of how in depth my show, I'm not doing a trick. I am sharing with you a life-changing story.
But I just love little old Preston. He's laying there sleeping on his tummy, and a ton of blankets, like nothing going on here. Big stage illusion. I'm in bed.
This dad trying to still continue to do the show. And,
oh my gosh.
And, there's another thing about watching your children. When our mother is watching the child, they're actually watching their child. And when the father is watching the child, he's babysitting.
Yeah. Well, get the book for the pictures. In the show notes for every single episode, Rick, we've got the link to the book and we've got the links to your show on Saturday mornings on KOMC.
Yes. And please join me on Saturday mornings. And you can do that through KOMC.com/player. And you can listen to me across the world.
And even text back and forth, even chat back and forth.
My Facebook streaming is growing.
Yeah?
people are really coming. Yeah, I'm like, wow, look at all the people. And
This is
my
wonderful.
Zane, the guy on my boards, I'm like, look at that people. There's actually people, talking to me on the stream. So
And you've only been doing it now about 2 months, so it's coming along. You're becoming a very good on-air personality.
I thank you. And for
Oh,
those
my
that wonder
pleasure.
about this on-air personality as well, I actually went to Tammy first and said, what do you think? Do you think I got a chance at this?
Yeah.
So she's positive. Once again, there's
Oh.
a perfect person in applauding other people and telling them that they can do it and that they are great and it's possible. So again, I kudos to Tammy and her
thanks.
positive attitude towards others.
Well, thanks. I needed it when I started, so, it's kind of like repay the favor.
You're pretty good.
I try.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.